Thank you for joining us for today's episode of The Real Spill, a podcast where I spill on all things multifamily advocacy and how we as industry professionals can work with our elected officials, stakeholders, and allies to bring about change for the rental housing industry. My guests are subject matter experts whose unique perspectives will help listeners understand how the issues impact them. Let's get into The Real Spill. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of The Real Spill here on the Multifamily Media Network. And with me today is a new friend. We have a lot in common, but we'd never met each other until face-to-face a few minutes ago online. It's Celia Smart. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Like when you reached out, I was like, oh, because I've seen your podcast clips post on LinkedIn and like pop up. And then of course, Liz and I talked about it and she's like, Katie's going to reach out to you. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm excited.
Me too. And I think we're probably like Facebook friends, social media friends,
Yep.
Even when I was back on site and had seen your journey, and am excited for listeners to hear about a very exciting opportunity that you went out for and seeing where things go there. It's going to be great.
Yes, I'm super excited to just share with you. And I love being part of the multifamily industry, and it's amazing, like the connections and the people that you meet. And so this is a really exciting time right now.
It is. We're in the people business, and it's amazing the connections. I think that's the biggest takeaway, or has been for me in my career, is being able to develop the relationships, because it's a very niched and nuanced industry. And pretty much if you've experienced it one place, it's par for the course all over the board. So I'm sure you probably experienced that with some of the properties you've collaborated with. They all generally seem to run about the same way, give or take.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so for listeners who don't know, how did you get into this? Like, what were you doing before Ready Fitness, and how did your path collide with the multifamily industry?
Well, so fitness has been my entire life, and professionally. I actually was, and it took me probably about 6 or 7 years in my 20s. I ended up being the physical director for a local recreation facility. So I ran a weight room, oversaw fitness classes. I was a fitness instructor. I started competing in fitness after I had my son. So I connected with a coach in Boston. I was with a team. This was my hobby and it was my love. And for 10 years, I competed in fitness, did 25 shows. And then also was the fitness coach for the Charlotte Hornets Honeybees dance team for pretty much over 13 years. And so fitness has just always been part of my life, and coaching has always been part of my life. So those two things, that's just what I did. And then I got into sales, my first sales job, because I was, at the time, it was like 2008, I had opened a all-star cheerleading gym, and with a parent that had believed in what I was doing. And we had 5 all-star teams. And so I was doing that. I had my son, who at that point was like 4 or 5 years old, went through divorce, and had to pick up a sales job because I was doing something entrepreneurially. I was training, all the things. And so I got connected with this company and was selling tape, basically like a tape dispenser over the phone. So my first sales job was inside sales for a year. And then they saw I had potential for outside sales. So then I ended up selling box sealing tape. So all these, the boxes and the tape, that's what I did. I traveled for that and found that I was good at it. And then got released from that job. So I was laid off and had to find another job. And I ended up getting a job with GTM Sportswear. So I was with a sportswear company selling cheerleading and dance uniforms. And that's where I was for probably 2 to 3 years. And then that outside sales program was coming to an end. And I was just kind of like not sure what the next step was. And all of a sudden I get an email through LinkedIn, and they had seen that I was in Charlotte, background with fitness and sales. And it was Ready Fitness, and they wanted to talk to me about they were expanding My company is owned by Eric Coyer, and he had been doing it entrepreneurially on his own, and then he wanted to expand the territories, and so Charlotte was part of that, Carolinas. And so I had a conversation with them, and then ended up going to Atlanta, meeting with them, and was hired. And at that point, I knew nothing about multifamily, nothing about like selling equipment, using it, absolutely, fitness trainer, all that. But selling equipment, this was a whole new thing. And I remember we had boot camp for a week. So I was starting in this new territory, building it from ground zero. So no leads, nothing, never been in multifamily. And this was going to be our primary focus. And so I remember he said to me, he's like, so here's what you're going to do. He's like, you're going to go to Charlotte and you're going to sign up as a member of the Greater Charlotte Apartment Association. And I was like, okay. And so that's what I did. I showed up. I remember going to my first suppliers council meeting, which at the time it was called Products and Service Council. And I was like, what is this? Like, what is going on? Like, I didn't even know this existed. I rented an apartment. Like, I had been in an apartment the whole time, but had no idea this whole industry existed. And so I just jumped full in because this was it for me. Like, I knew that this job was an opportunity. You start out with a salary and then you go 100% commission. So I had a lot of proving myself. I had to build a network. I had to do it fast. And I had really nothing to start with, but just get out there and meet people and network and connect. And I fell in love with the community, immediately jumped in. And so 10 years later, here I am.
Oh, that is so awesome. And like your steps were being ordered. Like even
Yes.
back then, I think that's amazing in life in general to where we're like, I don't know why I'm interested in this one particular thing. But then you keep going, it's what drives you. And then doors open when you apply yourself, your heart's in it. And these opportunities, you have to go out and get them. You have to be a
Yes.
hustler. Like
Yes. You got to hustle. Like nobody's going to, I've heard this over and over. Nobody's going to do it for you. Like, no one can build it for you. No one can do it. They can give you tools and give you recommendations and introductions, but it's up to us to take that and run with it.
yes, and I had that same revelation a few years ago as I was going down like a mental health journey when I switched from being on site to being a supplier myself, and I came across something that said exactly that, like no one's coming to save you. And I'm like, that's true. You have to have like not only the mental capacity to do it, but the drive, the organization. Like there's so many things that have to come together. And as we were talking offline, you mentioned like that you made lists of things that you wanted to accomplish. And that's a wonderful way to keep track of what it is we want to do with our life. If we don't have a goal that is tangible, that is feasible, I think it's easy to get lost in the mundane day to day rat race.
Well, and I believe in that. I believe in lists, like creating a list for yourself. So it doesn't always have to be work oriented. It can be other things like that you want to accomplish. And then vision board. My husband and I do a vision board every year. And it's been so awesome because like just going through the exercise of printing things out, picking out words, things that you really want to do. And we have it in our bedroom. So every morning, we wake up to it, we go to bed, it's right there. So just keeping your vision in front of you, I think is so important. And it'll give you life, like realizing when you actually, you think about it, you write it down, you keep looking at it, keep it in front of you, keep going after it. And then when things start to happen, you're like, wow, like this is awesome.
It's very much like the law of attraction. You put it out there and it comes back to you. And even like when the thoughts start, if there's like a doubting thought, like I've realized how important it is to notice that immediately and redirect it as best I can, because then you're telling the universe that that's what you want. And so it'll do its thing of sending it back to you, and having those things so physically like present to look at, just it literally brings those things into your life.
Yeah, I think the things we think on, the things we look at, the podcast, the music, the people, where you're spending your time. And we were talking about guarding your time, like all of those things play such a role in us staying mentally healthy and strong. But just keeping yourself fueled with like, And I don't want to say like, because I'm big on like butterflies and sunshine and
Oh,
positivity,
same.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but it's work to stay in that headspace, because we all have life challenges. Like we all face stuff, whether it be at home, whether it be at work, whatever the case may be, that's a struggle. Like it's real for everyone. And so you really have to take control of your thoughts, and like you said, bringing it back, like immediate, like when your mind starts going off negative, like what does it take for you to bring it back? Is it taking a few minutes to breathe? Is it taking a few minutes to listen to a song? Is it a dance break in the middle of the day? Like what is it that's going to bring you back?
Yep. And what's funny is we used to do that still at one property I was at.
I love that.
We called it taking it to the rug. So we
That's
would
the
take it to
best.
the rug, and especially around like the holidays, and we had our Santa Claus out there. And if a resident came in, they got to just dance with us. They're like, y'all are silly and goofy. I'm like, you have to be like to get through some of the things on site that we go through, and just in our day-to-day lives and jobs, it is important. And I love a good dance break. It's sometimes you gotta break it down.
Well, it's just movement. Like the minute you start moving, like it can change the way you see things. I started running on a regular basis more for my mind and clearing my head than actually the physical part of it. Even though the physical part of it is a benefit, it really was for me mentally, because it was the only time I could get my head clear. And when I came back from running, I was like, okay, I can reset and then go into the next thing.
Yes, yes. And I have friends who run, and they say the same thing. I used to take a spin class a good bit, and that did it for me because the lights are off. If you had a day and they don't know if it's tears or sweat,
That's right.
because we all look a hot mess anyway. But it was very therapeutic for me. And I had one particular instructor, we were talking offline, that most of my best friends are actually, some of them are in the multifamily industry, but the vast majority of them were my group fitness instructors. And it's, to me, we've talked about it being funny that they try to kill us, but we love them. Like it's all for our good. And coming from your space where you're able, I call them toys, all the fun toys that you get to equip the gyms with are there for a purpose. Like, especially if
Mhm.
you just have one of those days, I mean, no judgment. Like our one of our cable machines, like our pec deck is right behind our Crunch is our gym, and it bought everything in the area. So the punching bags are behind it. This guy had taken the punching bag down, and he was wrestling with it. My South Carolina almost came out. I about said wrestling, but he was just going to town. And my friend and I looked over and said, "We get it, we get it." And he's doing what he has to do to get through the day. Um, so when you've worked with clients, so are you doing like renovations or new construction? Like when they're like, okay, we need a gym. This is our market, or this is our budget. What's in the market? What's out there? Is that how that works, or how do you collaborate?
Oh gosh. So there's a number of ways. So I do new construction, renovations, replace, if people just need a piece or two replaced. Some people, if it's just go in their space and figure out like, how is this best going to serve our residents, like what we have currently. So it's kind of really depends on what the needs of the client has, and what the end, product is. So is this about leasing apartments, which the majority of my new construction clients, that's what it is. We're attracting future residents. So we want this amenity space to speak to that. Others with renovations, it's like bringing it up to date. Because, fitness, even 6 years ago, fitness wasn't as important as it is now. Now it used to be like, well, it'd be nice to have fitness. We'll have like this little space that shows like, a couple treadmills, a couple bikes, and maybe a few pieces for strength. And now it's like, they're full gyms. Like we're doing that. They're each in going back to what you were talking about, like how everybody approaches fitness. Fitness is different for everyone. So when we're creating a space, it needs to speak to the people that are going to be living there. What does that look like? It's going to look different, a little different at each site. So, but I always come into it with two things that I want to do. One is that it's there to do what the developers are hiring me to do, which is create a space that's going to attract new residents. And the other is I want to create a space that is going to be functional for the residents that are going to live there. And it's always taking into consideration the zones. Like I look at things like zones. So you've got your strength zone, you've got your cardio zone, you've got your wellness zone. Now we're seeing things like adding cold plunges and saunas, and it's no longer just about like how many treadmills are we going to have? Oh, well, are we going to have a Smith machine? Now we're putting in Olympic lift stations. A couple years ago, we would have never put an Olympic lift station in. Never, for liability. That was such a big thing. And now it's like, if you don't have an Olympic lift station, like that's kind of where things are. People are wanting to add in those strength components. And that's really on trend right now, is the strength piece. Women are lifting. Women are freaking getting in the gym and lifting. And yes, people still use treadmills. Yes, people are still doing cardio, but this strength piece has just become like, it is the trend. It is the thing. And I don't think it's going away anytime soon.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing that in our own gym, and Crunch took over. It was Pivotal Fitness, and there was one in Greenville, and there was one down in Florida. But Crunch came in, and Pivotal had not been updated in so long that I didn't even know how to turn on the treadmill. Like I had to text my husband because I was not going to ask another man of how to turn on the treadmill. I am not a damsel in distress. So I text Brad and I'm like, hey, I don't mean to sound like I've never worked out a day in my life. I've been working out since I was 13. However, how do you turn on this treadmill? Like, what am I doing? Because it changed. It was like a different world than what we were used to. And fitness equipment also wears out really quickly depending on the use. I just want to know, what are they? I call them good girl, bad girls, the hip abductor and hip adductor. I'm like, what are they doing to the good girl, bad girl machine to make the covering come off?
Well, it just means it's in high use. Like people are using it. It's so funny because that's usually a big sign. Like when you see that the upholstery is wearing out, it's definitely, that seems to play a big role. It's like, well, it's being used like a lot. And then you'll see the other pieces that like, it looks like it's never been touched. And it probably hasn't.
We've got one machine it's an ab machine that you can lean back and throw. It's like it's like a med ball toss. That thing doesn't get used. Like
right. Well, and that brings me to the point. A lot of times, I'll have clients reach out that want wow pieces. They want that piece that is a talking point for walking through a fitness center, something that's a highlight. So my goal is always to, yes, let's do the wow piece, but let's make it functional. Like let's make it where it's actually going to be used. Whether it's, so I'm known as like the queen of torque bridges. That's what Torque is, the manufacturer that I sell a lot of their product. And they're like, Celia, you're like the queen of bridges. And I'm like, yes, I love the torque bridge because it's wow, but it's functional. Residents can use it. It's great for storage. So that's kind of how I always like walk into a space, is when I'm looking at it from several different viewpoints. And because of my fitness background, because of my love for fitness, that has really helped me a lot when talking with people and when creating a space, because you can create a gym, but if you want to really create a place where people are going to come and like work out, and like you said, your friends are at the gym, it's community. It's a community builder. It can be that if you want it to be. And so that's the fun part for me, is like, I love when I walk in, I'm seeing people work out. Like that's my favorite thing. It's like, and then if I see they're together and they're like talking on the treads, or they're following an influencer on social, doing a workout together, like to me, that's like so cool.
It is. It's about the experience. Like you said, it's creating experiences, and a friend of mine went and worked at a luxury property for a very, very brief time. And they were all popping up downtown Greenville. And I was telling her, look, they're all boxes in the sky, right? It's all about the experience that you can give the people that live there. And the studies have shown people want a sense of community. That's what they're looking for. And if they don't have to leave home for that, if they have that right there, they can just get their little access card and go down to their gym, and home should be their safe space and their safe haven. And being able to have a fully functional, fitness center there, especially with Olympic lift stations too. That's what people are wanting. We've got several at ours, and the bumper weights. That's been a game changer too. Like they don't get your fingers quite as bad if people are dropping their weights. Sometimes we don't have the Planet Fitness if someone drops their weights, but it definitely makes a difference in being able to have that experience there right at home for them. It sounds like it's incredibly rewarding for you to go in, like to, it's like, I call them toys in like a
Yeah.
playground to see like, oh, the kids are playing on their toys. Like,
I know. Or if I walk in and like, no, you don't want your fitness center to be a mess. Like I'm right there with you. I want everything to be stored. But when you walk into a space and you've seen the battle rope pulled out and you've seen like a sled that's been halfway pushed across the floor and you just notice certain things and you're like, this gym is being used. Like that is what for me, like we've created a space where people want to use it. And to me, that is so rewarding.
oh, absolutely. And so you have worked this time and have worked with the Greater Charlotte Association, and you saw an opportunity to apply for something recently. That's really
Yes.
exciting. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so 20 on the rise for NAA, the National Apartment Association. I applied. I have I turned, let me go back. So I turned 50 last year. I have a list of things that I've like listed out that I want to push myself to do and try and go for. And so awards and things like that, or putting myself out there to be considered has always been something. And so this came up, and I've been in the industry 10 years, and they took the age restriction off. So I was like, I need to like just throw my name in the hat and see what happens. And so I did. So I applied. I put myself out there. The application process was pretty lengthy. And it really, really through the application process was so helpful for me because it helped me reflect on my journey with Ready Fitness, with the multifamily industry, like where in my career, like how things have gone. Because I started in multifamily, a whole new career at 40 years old. So I didn't come from this industry. So I was literally thrown into it and had to figure it out. And I'm so thankful for the mentors and the people in my life that came alongside me to help and have helped me grow and change and become the person that I am today. But again, going into this whole process, like I applied, there were 172 applicants. And I think it was a couple months for them to decide like who we're going to be, because they're only picking 20. And when I got the notice, I was like, I screamed, like, I don't remember. I remember just screaming in the phone because I got the call. But I just was like, I just feel so honored. And being a supplier in this industry, is can be a difficult track in building relationships and create a name for yourself and putting yourself out there. And I'm so fortunate and so grateful for the opportunity that I have been chosen as one of the 20 on the rise and to represent in different ways. One, being 50 years old, life's not over, let's go, right? Two, is starting the new career at 40 years old, like being able to represent that and be in an industry that I love and care about and a job that I love and care about. And I'm going to be surrounded, like I'm already surrounded by this amazing community, but now to be around these other 19 together, getting to know them and expand the opportunity to do more, not just locally, but I also work with PTAA, which is Piedmont Trade Association, AANC, which is the North Carolina Apartment Association. And now I really want to get involved on the national level as well.
Oh, it's going to be great. And congratulations. It's
Thank
going to be a
you.
wonderful, wonderful journey. And you've got great connectors. I know that Betsy is
Yes.
already the connector of people. And
Yes.
she's so well connected, and will, and myself too, bring you right along, and Liz, to anybody we know, Patty, Mindy, Susan, Lori, those that are with the NSC and leadership, and to see that we do have a seat at the table. And they may have you guys in class depending, but we have like committee days whenever you're at any of the national conferences. You can go and sit in any committee for free. Like, you don't have to register for the conference to go into a committee meeting. And the National Suppliers Council has those meetings, and it's just a great way to connect and network. And we were talking offline about the folks that are going to be there, and NAA can't share this any more than just a couple of times based on contract. But how cool is it going to be to see Simone Biles?
I'm freaking out. I'm like, I want a picture. Like, how about a handstand, Simone? Let's go. Like, I just am so excited that she's going to be there, and excited just to hear, like, just to be a part of the event, like the overall, like the conference and everything. And going back to Betsy, like, I've known Betsy since I started, and she has been such a tremendous like support. Like, she has been a friend, a mentor. Like, I'm so appreciative of her. Liz, I mean, Liz and I are like two peas in a pod. Like, I'm so grateful to have her as like, you find people that you gravitate towards and that you do things with. And she's one of those people that like, we have like a tennis match all the time. Like, whether it's talking on text message or whether we're doing serving in the community, like, we just have this, like, we just work well together. And then my mentor, Kim Bolt Davidson, I remember the first day I think it was like maybe the first 2 weeks I was at GCAA, and she came up to me at the meeting, and I said, well, can we have lunch? And so we had lunch, and I was like, so you're going to be my mentor. And she's been my mentor ever since. And she'll tell you, she's like, we're just friends. And I'm like, yeah, but you're always my mentor. Like, she's somebody I go to on the regular for advice or to ask questions or support each other. And so I'm so grateful. Lisa Foley is another one. Like, I was president for the Products and Service Council for GCAA, and Lisa Foley was president. I was her vice president. And so I had the opportunity to learn and grow under her leadership. And so, there's just so many people that I just like want to shout out and say thank you. And like, I am so grateful and they're my friends, like, so grateful.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about the industry is the positive women that are here in the space and the mentorship that's available, and seeing like as folks grow in their industry careers and in their industry volunteerism, that conversations are different at the top. Folks are genuinely supportive. They're collaborating. It's so cool to have. We're talking about energy beforehand, but before we were recording, but it's so important to be around that type of energy. It's that heck yeah energy. It's that you've got this. There's no pretension. There's no, oh, she thinks she's, no, there's enough success for each and every one of us. And if we have the opportunity, like when I'm talking about leadership, and when we take that step and we are in a position of leadership, it's no longer about us. It's about our teams, and it's about finding that next person and bringing them to the table. And I think that's what folks like Liz and Betsy do so well, is that they're confident enough in their own abilities. They know that they're going to shine no matter what. And they want to put a spotlight on and bring the next generation along with them. And we're just such a blessed industry in that respect.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many incredible people within our industry that are the cheerleaders, are the ones that are like Rebecca Rosario is another one. Like, I had a great conversation. She and I had a great podcast conversation, and just I told her, because I took Train the Trainer last year at PTAA, and she was one of the instructors, and just to be in the room with people that are paving the way and leading and saying, come, like you said, saying, come with me. Like, this isn't just about me. Like, come join me. Let's do this together. And for me, that's just, I mean, I'm all about that. I love community and I love being a part of it.
Yeah, Rebecca's great. We one night in DC, we were walking back to the hotel. We'd been out eating and having a couple of drinks around town, and we just started like randomly in dance. Like we're just going down.
Yes.
We're just having a good time. Like she's like sunshine personified, and just having those people and being able to see them too in Vegas this year is going to be so cool. It's I've never been. Have you ever been to Vegas?
Yes. The only times I've been to Vegas were for fitness competitions. So this will be a completely different experience.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Any of my friends that I can't imagine, like the mental tenacity that you have to do a show. Like folks are over there with their hoodies on, just on the
Yes.
Stairmaster, and then like the prep. And I had a resident one time who was competing, and she was like, even if I salivate, I'm having to find my jar. Because she was depleted. I'm like, oh my
Right.
God. Like, so maintenance guys, if y'all have to do a service request, like let her spit in her jar. She's it's all part of the process. But it's grueling. It's grueling.
Yeah, I did it. I did it for 25 years. And so, or not 25 years, sorry, 25 shows, which probably feels that way. But yeah, like it takes a level of discipline. I learned a lot of discipline through competing and learned a lot about myself. I built my confidence in the gym, and it's taken me a long time to take that gym confidence and let that um, show up in other parts of my life. Because my husband would even sometimes be like, he's like, you got so much more confidence in the gym than you do like maybe in a conversation over here, over there. And I was like, well, yeah, that's where I found my confidence. That's where I found strength. And so I've been really working at like hopefully transferring that into other areas.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, and that's the same for me. And very strong, in the gym. I love to lift with my husband and his friends, and we have a good time. But it's transferring that confidence into other areas. But like somewhere in the back of your head is like, I just did this 20 push-ups, and if I had to right now, I could, or whatever it is, like whatever that goal was that you set for yourself. And sometimes when we hit our PRs, nobody else is around to
Right.
know. And so we have to be our own like cheerleader, and being able to transfer that outside of the gym and into our careers is really cool too. And especially in your situation to where it's what you do, it's what you live, breathe, eat, and sleep. So being able to help communities design their ideal experience for their residents is, again, your steps being ordered.
Yeah, it all goes back to that. Like if you told me in my 20s I would be outfitting and designing gyms, I'd be like, huh? Like, what do you mean? Multifamily? What?
Yeah,
Like,
what's that?
I'm going to be training people. Like that's that was my thing. Like I knew fitness. Like at 19, I took my first step class, and I remember taking that and I was like, ooh, this is it. Like I'm going to be doing this. And fast forward, and yes, I've trained, I've coached, I've done all that. And now like, if I do classes, I'm an ambassador for Salata, for all the Salatas in Charlotte. So like they'll tap me to come out and do a boot camp. Once in a while, I still get to get out there and flex that muscle, but like, but doing what I do every day, it's like, it's really on a bigger scale because I get to help communities create those spaces. And it's pretty cool.
So awesome. And you also started a podcast, the Be Amazing podcast. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So Be Amazing podcast started 4 years ago. And I taught myself, I Googled how to start a podcast, YouTube. And we were in the middle of, I host events. They usually have been very focused on women, health, and wellness. And so at that time we were doing a big fitness weekend. And so I needed to market. It was supposed to be, and we were supposed to have it 2020 and of course COVID. So the whole purpose of that weekend was to share women's stories. So it was all about sharing somebody's journey. And it didn't mean it was like, how much weight did they lose? No, share their story. Like, who are they? How did they get from point A to point B? How does fitness play a role? So in that time, we couldn't see people in person. So I was like, well, maybe if I just share a couple of, stories on a podcast, because my friends owned SweatNet at the time. And I reached out to them and I said, if I put together a couple of episodes. Can we share them on SweatNet? Because SweatNet was a bigger reach than what I had. And they're like, absolutely. So I started. I just did it. I figured it out. There's Audacity. I downloaded it. I figured out how to record on Zoom, and then how to extract, go through the whole thing. So I learned how to do it and started the podcast and fell in love with the fact that I connected with people in a way and had conversations. And I'm so fascinated with how people get from, like kind of like we're sharing my story. Like I had no idea I was going to be designing outfitting gyms. I'm fascinated with how people get to where they are. And so I just continued, and it's gone on for 4 years. And this is just happening. So we're in the middle of a reboot. And I'm excited because the reboot is going to be around industry leaders, creative visionaries, change makers who are raising the bar in the worlds of fitness, design, and real estate. So we're really going to start tying in those, like the topics around that. And it's a new, it'll be something new for me to really tap in and focus on that. But I'm really excited and looking forward to pivoting and rebooting, and excited to share what's coming up. So I guess it's been 2 weeks ago, we had a Be Amazing event. And I hosted a live podcast, and my panels were multifamily leaders in development and in the management side. They were all females leading in their own areas. And we had a tremendous turnout for it. We had 150 people show up. We had, the community came together, and it was like, there's this alignment, and it was like, yeah, this is the direction that I really want to take the podcast, and highlighting voices and bringing leaders in and tying in fitness. Like we're talking about health and mental health and all of that, because at the end of the day, we're all people. But we're a part of this wonderful industry. And so that's where things are headed. And I'm really excited. And I will flip the script on you because I want you to come and be on my podcast. But it's been an amazing journey. And, when I started the podcast, I didn't know where it was going. I just knew it was something I wanted to do. And I just took the step to do it. And sometimes, it takes a while for things to kind of evolve and change. And I think we're at 130 episodes right now, and getting ready to shift and change. So we'll see where everything goes from here.
Oh, that's so cool. That is going to be so exciting. And so if folks or listeners, can they find you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere podcasts are
Oh
found?
yeah. So we, Be Amazing Media is my husband's company, and it's, film and produce the Be Amazing podcast. It is on Spotify. It is on YouTube. It is on Apple Podcasts. You can actually go right now and listen to the live event that we did. That's now up. You can watch it if you want. You can watch or listen to it on YouTube on the Be Amazing podcast.
Oh, that's so cool. And when we're in Vegas, there's going to be an event that I really think you should come to. It's that Tuesday night, and it's the Multifamily Media Network's Podcast Palooza.
Yes,
Yeah.
I want to be there.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'll send you the invite.
Please.
It's going to be so much fun. That's how I became introduced to them last year, because I didn't have this on my 2024 bingo card by any stretch last year, and wanted to start something for like industry advocacy, because I'm that nerd that likes to make friends with politicians for the benefit of the multifamily industry. And so Mark Sharp, who was our board president for Upper State last year, he's my birthday twin. I know you have a birthday in July too. What day are you?
I'm the 10th.
Oh, I'm the 2nd. Another July Cancer.
Oh, yes.
I love it. And Mark is my birthday twin. So we've picked about birthday twin over the years. Well, he said, hey, because I was going to have to do all the things like you were talking about, having to figure out how to record, what software do you use,
Right.
how do you edit, and that's more my husband's avenue than mine. And Mark said, because we were going to do it for the South Carolina Apartment Association for our affordable housing subcommittee, and Mark said, hey, let me introduce you to some people. They've already laid the groundwork. And so I met Paul and the other Mark and Chris and Jennifer Carter. And we had a great conversation, and then learning this was a learning curve. And normally I've got folks on and we're talking about industry advocacy and bills and all this stuff, and I too wanted to do a little bit of a shift with Black History Month this month, and then Women's History Month, and now RPM careers, and it's all advocating for the rental housing industry and showcasing the folks who work in it every day. We're the experts. And that was one thing that was very beneficial for me to learn when meeting with members of Congress. Was like, okay, it was shocked me at first. I'm like, they have to make decisions about this stuff and they don't know how it works. Like, oh no. And I say the more I work with the government, the less I trust them. But but they need that information. They need that information. And so we're the experts. We're the ones that are in it every day and can say, hey, if you pass this, this is the unintended consequence. Um, and I've even had a couple, one of our city council members on the podcast before, and had some great conversations. But too, I kind of shifted a little bit, and just as things come up, you just got to roll with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really like, I think sometimes we get in our head about how things should start. Like, and especially if you're starting out in something. I know for me with the podcast, like I didn't know where I was going with it. I just knew in my heart, I felt like I needed to do it. And so I just took the step, and it has evolved over time. And even now, like, it's so crazy to see like, okay, we're getting ready, we're pivoting again. But there's an alignment with it. But had I not started 4 years ago and just took the step, I wouldn't be in this place right now. So I just going back to your whole point, it's like, you just sometimes just have to like roll with how things go, because you can try to be as perfect, as planned out, as prepared. You can try to have all the things in place, and there is no guarantee that everything's going to run perfectly. Or if something does come up, or a guest comes up and you're like, oh, like this is good. Like I want to share this. And then it's just a matter of figuring out like, how do I tie that in? But, being flexible and being willing to kind of, I want to say, go with the flow a little bit. That just makes life better, I think, because there is no, like, that's what I love about podcasting. There's no perfection involved. Like, we're talking, this is what it is. I don't expect you to go back and edit anything I've said. Like, we're just talking. Like, y'all get to listen in on the conversation.
Exactly. That's how I thought about it too. And I've had some team members that are really nervous, but when I'm like, okay, it's just like you're talking to me, like on a normal day, just I'm goofy, I'm silly, I don't have any sense. And sometimes if it comes up, it comes out, and that's okay. I've had all kinds, like I told you, the one thing I said on here one time, and I'm like, no, I said what I said.
Right. I'm being who I am. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. And a lot of times when you get in the conversations, like you allow yourself to like talk about things and like deeper dive on subjects, or veer off on things, like there's like some real nuggets that end up coming out of the conversations that you have that you may not have had any intention on even talking about.
And it's the ease, the comfortability, and some of that I think comes with women as I'll call it leveling up. And you gain that confidence. What is to you the favorite aspect of being where you are in your career right now in this moment?
Oh, the favorite part now is like for my career part, I've established myself. I'm pushing myself to new levels. Like I want to continue to rise and elevate in what I do every day. I want to, from a leadership side, like I want to be able to, I'm in a place now where I can focus a little bit more on that and tying it all together. But I think, it's sitting in the work that I've done, like looking back, like I think right now too, a lot of it's just reflection of like how in the past 10 years where I started to where I am now, and the people I've met, the opportunities I have, like none of it was given. Nobody handed it to me. Every bit of it I've worked for. And that's the part that I'm sitting in now is like, man, It's been worth all the hustle and the grind. It's been worth all the hustle. And, I think that's, and I don't want to get comfortable by any stretch. Like, okay, well, I'm all set. No, you're never all set. If you're in sales, you're never all set. Like, you're never all set. There's always the next benchmark. But I think there's a level of like, confidence in myself that like, I did do that. I can do this, and wait, I can do more.
Yeah, we're capable of so much more as women, as people, than we ever give ourselves credit for sometimes, I think.
Oh, 100%. I think a lot of times we get focused, and I do this myself. I think I had a mini meltdown on Sunday because I'm like, I'm not here. Like, I'm not where I want. Like, you have all these like benchmarks, or you've set targets for yourself and you're like, I'm not there. Like, and then my husband's like quick to bring it back. And he's like, okay, hold on, bring it back. Look at what has happened. Look at what you have done to get to here. And like, there's always going to be that stretch goal. Like, there's always going to be a stretch goal. There's a goal, and then there's a stretch goal. And so it's just the matter of just like, keep going.
Just keep swimming.
Yeah. Just keep going.
Just keep going. Just keep going. And so what would you say now is the most challenging aspect? Is it the stretch goals? Is it
I think it's the stretch goals. I think too, it's allowing myself to pivot and move, because you can get really comfortable and good and like when you finally found your spot, like you're like, okay, I know that this is the clients, that these are the people that I'm used to working with. I feel good. I found my spot. And then it's like, but to branch off and go into a new area or another vertical, and put myself out there, it's like getting uncomfortable. And I think that's the challenge, is like pushing myself to get uncomfortable, do things that make me uncomfortable. Cause I'm like, but I've been doing that this whole time. And it's like, and I finally feel like I'm in my spot. Like, why do I want to get uncomfortable now? But that's the only way to grow. And that's where the challenge is. The challenge is willing to be uncomfortable.
and that translates over from the gym too.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
willingness, like you think a minute is not long. Try a plank series that's
Right.
not just a minute. Say they want to go rogue, and like, oh, we're going to do a 5-minute plank series. You're like,
right. Yeah. It's picking up that heavier weight. Like, I could do this weight easily. Do I really want the challenge? Because I can maintain. Or do I want to see change? And that's where always, because even with fitness, like, just like you said, you can get to a place, and people ask this all the time. They're like, so I've been doing the same thing for like, let's say weeks on end, months on end, and now I'm not seeing any change. And it's like, well, that's because you haven't challenged your body. So you have to shock your body with challenge in order to see the change. And so, but it goes back to, are you willing to do that? And that's always the hard part.
oh, absolutely. And it's changing the weight or that time under tension. Like,
Yeah.
you can do it.
It's not fun.
It's not. It's really not. And sometimes I don't get the DOMS the next day. I get it 2 days later.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, you go to get out of bed and you're like, oh, we did go up to 470
Right.
on the leg press, or
And you're like, why did I do that again?
exactly.
What was the purpose? Oh, that's right. I want to change.
Exactly. You get caught up in the moment, and you have those folks around you saying, you can do this, you've got this. And then you go for it, and you end up changing, and for the positive. It's so many things about physical health and mental health. There's such a tie-in between those two. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So everything starts even with like workouts or training, or you're wanting to challenge yourself to change, or making the intention to go to the gym. Like, everything starts in our mind. It starts with a thought. So keeping your mind in a healthy place is just as important as your physical body. And we talked earlier. So I wasn't really big into running. In fact, my son was like, why are you doing this? Like, why didn't we do this when I was in high school, kind of thing? Because he was like, Mom, because now he and I do runs together. And he's like, why didn't we do this earlier? But at the time, like, I didn't realize the freedom in the freedom it brought me to run. And in my head, I was able to let go, because in the gym, a lot of times I'm pretty intentional with what I'm doing. I'm thinking about the next rep. I'm worried about like, did I do it correctly so I don't injure myself? Like all of those things. And then with running, I just don't have to think. Like it's the one time, and that could go for walking too. So I don't want to just speak to runners and speak to somebody that's just starting to move. Walking too, like there's a freedom with that mentally that you can literally let go. And it can be like that time for yourself to just move. Like you don't have to think about walking or you don't have to think about running. You just get out there and do it. And it's like, I don't know, there was just something that I found the connection between my mind and my body's benefiting, but I'm not concentrated on my body getting the results. I'm concentrated on clearing my head. And that way, when I'm able to come back to what I was doing and reset, or whether it's prepping me for the next thing, like, so there, to me, there is a huge connection. And I think if you find yourself in a depressed state or in a place where you're really struggling, movement's important. And that can be for any type of movement. It can be for in the gym. Like you can go in the gym and lift or get on an elliptical or take a class. Like sometimes I go to take classes so I don't have to think somebody else is leading me. So, but movement, like just getting up, like I guarantee you, if you got up and you, like we talked about doing a dance break, you did a dance break in the middle of the day, like your endorphins are going to kick in and that's going to help shift your mood. Find a friend that's going to go walk with you. Like find somebody that's your walking buddy. Like have a walk and talk session versus your next call being, even if it's virtual, like do it virtually. Go for a walk with your friend virtually. Like y'all go walk wherever you're at. So I really believe that it ties in together. Because if you're mentally healthy and strong, that helps you when you're going after goals or going in the gym or accomplishing those things you want.
Yeah, and it is timely for me. We talked about this off camera too. I've told you I've been like in a funk since I got back from the Advocate conference. Haven't even been to the gym and found myself what they call, bed rotting, and it's a lot. And sometimes the last thing you want to do is move, but that is the one thing that is the medicine. It is what the body needs to snap out of it sometimes. And I think if folks are on site and they have a beautiful space like a fitness center, or they've got stairs, go walk the stairs. If you got
Yep.
notices that need to be put out, go. And that's how I put on the freshman 15 or more from being a supplier, is going from 3 flights of stairs, constantly walking units, to being behind a desk all day. So even like my husband got me a walking pad for Christmas. The dogs don't like it. The dogs don't like it at all. They're like, no, Mr. Max, don't get on there. You have a gym fail. There goes the selfie. Oops, have padded walls in here. But it helps. It really does. And I'd say for folks that are on site, it gets so stressful sometimes. And I talk about energy vampires, and we all have those folks that they're just draining in our lives. And some of them are residents, and you just have to be, I used to call it Mary Sunshine. You're just Mary Sunshine. It's so great to see you today. And then you leave there, oh, I'm exhausted from dealing with that person. But going into the fitness center, taking a walk, if it's nice outside, walking around the property is so beneficial. And taking a team member with you, hey, let's go put out these notices, or go do balcony inspections, or whatever it is you're doing, is so important.
It is. And I mean, one thing for me yesterday, I'd had a long day behind the desk and had to go to an event last night. And I had only had like 30 minutes left in my day before I had to like go shower and all that. And I contemplated for a minute. I was like, well, I feel really tired and sore today. I don't think I'm going to run. And it's raining. And then I told myself, I was like, but you're going to feel better afterwards. And I was like, yeah, that's right. I will feel better if I go run. And I did. I went and ran my 30 minutes, came back. I was like reset. My mood was better. I was ready for what was happening that night. And I just was in a much better mental state. And so I think too, what you're saying for on site, like, yeah, take the time. Like, even if you have a boxing bag, like don't be afraid to go in there and let off some steam on it. Like, don't be afraid to like grab your teammates, and like, if you're going to have a team meeting, like take it outside and go for a walk. Like movement is what it is to you, but any type of movement is amazing. Walking pads, amazing. Like having that in your office. But just like, and find somebody that will hold you accountable, or find somebody that you can tap to be like, yo, I'm in a bad place today. Like, I don't even have the mental capacity to put my running shoes on to go walk outside. And make sure you tell that person, and they're going to hit you right back and be like, no, let's go. Like, I'll grab my phone and talk to you while you're walking. Like, find that. It doesn't have, again, it's not about perfection of like, I have 30 minutes. No, if it's like 5 minutes, go for it.
And those little steps add up throughout the day too. Like there's one 5 minute session here, you got 5-10 minutes later, and not thinking that you have to do it in one chunk if that's not what you have at the moment. It's fine. And accountability is so important, and very thankful. I've got folks, like I said, my husband's like, all the friends are like, where's Katie? And I'm like, watching the 7,000th episode of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Like, oh, that's what we're doing. But yeah, it is just making that decision. And then it becomes more of your pattern, more of your routine, and things start to feel better much sooner in general whenever folks just take that first step. And that's relatable in life and what we do, and in the gym and movement, or whatever we're choosing.
Yeah, it's so important. And the minute you start making, and you can make anything a habit. And this could be like a really, maybe once a week, you just plan on doing that as part of your once a week. And then you find joy in it and you start doing it more and more. So you just, like you said, take the first step.
Yep, and it's beautiful outside right now for folks who don't have the allergies, but beautiful to get outside and get those endorphins. And I know we have Apartmentalize coming up, and that's something to look forward to. What else are you looking forward to in the rest of 2025?
Ooh, I'm just looking forward to, like, we have the conference in May coming up, AANC, which I'm super excited about that. And then, of course, we're going to Vegas, which is going to be great. But I'm really looking forward to just continuing to build on my work, pivoting with my podcast, and then spending time with my husband. We love to travel and paddleboard and mountain bike. And we haven't done much of that this year so far, but we know summer's coming and that's like our time to play. And so I'm just looking forward to getting outside and playing.
Oh, that's awesome. We don't have to grow up. We don't.
No.
No, we don't. We don't.
No.
Our toys just change a little bit as we get older,
Yes.
right? A little more expensive and
Right.
and adventurous. You can't necessarily buy them off the toy shelf in Walmart, but
Right. Like and ours have always, we just keep adding to them. So it's been fun. And but it's summertime is my favorite for sure.
So you wind down that way. How else do you find yourself winding down for someone who's so busy?
I mean, I think wind down, it does look different for everyone. I think, workouts for me are always like, it is a way to amp up, but I wind down with that too. I think the other part is taking time to just hang out with friends, or just be, really, like, whether it's cooking at night, or just hang out with my husband, or we're working on a project together. Like, those to me are the things that I really enjoy. I love seeing my son when I do, and his wife. And but I don't know. I think it kind of varies depending on like what's happening. But yeah, I mean, that's typically my if you want to say wind down, I guess that's it. Yoga, I'll go take hot yoga,
Yes.
things like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They just put a hot yoga in our gym. So all of the yoga classes, whether it's like stretch and mobility, or they're all 90 degrees now with the infrared. And
yes,
oh,
amazing.
it is. And I learned it the hard way, Seal. You don't put lotion on before yoga class. Not hot yoga class.
Not hot yoga.
No, we have Southern Ohm here in Greenville before,
Yeah.
before we had the hot yoga in our own gym, my best friend every year on her birthday got a free session, and she's able to bring a guest. And she used to teach when she was in Bradenton. She still teaches all the classes, but not yoga anymore. And so we go and we're in tree pose, and here goes my legs sliding down my feet, sliding down my legs. And her name's JD. And JD looked over at me and she says, Katie, do you have on lotion? And I'm like, yes, I feel like I'm going to die. She goes, you just clogged your pores.
And you probably like this between the sweat and the lotion, it's probably everywhere.
It was crazy. Thank God I brought my own mat, because I would have felt like, in the towel that goes over and you can kind of clip it in. I'm like, I would have felt so badly that, and it's kind of in the back of Athleta. I don't ever think I say that right. Like, I would have had to buy something on the way out to, to help clean up. But yeah, yoga is a great way to just kind of namaste, right?
Yeah, just to chill. Oh, and I watch, I always have shows and stuff. I love to watch. TV's like my way to wind down too. I mean, it's always fun.
I've got the smut television on, like the Bravo, like
of course, all of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how I wind down, watching other people argue.
Exactly. It's a reminder that no matter what's going on, it's not that.
No, it's not that. I can turn that on and turn it off.
Exactly. And I always because I'm a big like hip hop head. Like I think in like 90s and R&B hip hop lyrics most of the time. What is your favorite song, or do you have one, or what's on your playlist right now?
Oh gosh, you'd ask me what's on my playlist. I love 90s, 2000s, of course. Like that's always a go-to. And it's funny, I do, because we're talking about shows too. I don't know if you ever watched Glee. Like, did you ever watch Glee?
I did.
I did. Yeah. And I've kind of been rewatching it, and they've been bringing out like different old school songs. And I'm like, I always love the one they did, Bust a Move. Like that's always a favorite. Anything from TLC, like, all of those are good.
They don't make music like that.
No, it's very different. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
But I have, if you look at my playlist, like it's always a mix. Like I always have things mixed in. And there's a lot of new music too. Of course, there's some Taylor Swift in there, but like, yeah, I think, and it depends on my mood.
That's part of like the gym scene too. What's popular because it's what's playing in the background.
Yeah.
Of the group fitness classes in our hit zone.
Yes. Oh yeah. And everybody's a little bit different. My husband listens to heavy metal. I'm not really into that. But he's into rap too. So I'll end up pulling songs that he's playing. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a good one to keep me moving. Let's go with that.
And what's funny is once you I know step was such a big thing in the gym, which I missed step, but such a big thing. And as is spin class, and it's gone through, Soul Cycle, Cycle Bar, all that. And being able to pick out, oh, that's a 90 beat RPM,
right.
Or that's a 120 or whatever it is. Like you find yourself like, I could step this.
Well, we'll just say, why don't you just go back to old school jock jams? Like, let's just talk about that. Because that was like everything.
Yes.
Like, it had all of it.
It did. There was so much. It's come a long way. Way. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on The Real Spill. And I am so excited to continue to watch your journey. I feel like I've made a new friend.
Yes, I'm excited. We'll have to work out together one day. That'll be super fun.
Absolutely. And that's a wrap on today's episode of The Real Spill, a podcast where I spill on all things multifamily advocacy and how we as industry professionals can work together with our elected officials, stakeholders, and allies to bring about change for the rental housing industry. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've learned something new. Now, go be a voice. Until next time, Spills out.